Now let's really get the show on. All right. So before we dive into today's agenda, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that we're presenting our info session today from our office on UBC Vancouver campus, which is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. Our Faculty of Land and Food System, is committed to working with Indigenous communities and students alike in our curriculum and research. And our program, the Dietetics program, is committed to the ongoing work of truth and reconciliation in all aspects of our teaching, practice, education, placements. So if you are located in Canada, we also encourage you to reflect on the traditional and then unceded territory that you live, work, and play on. Next slide is an overview of today's agenda. We'll take maybe 1 or 2 minutes to introduce our panelists today and go over our program overview and definitely address the detailed information about admission and leave as much time as we can to answer any questions you have. We will use the Slido, which is a website platform to address all of your questions. There's a QR code here. I just want to say some initial thoughts about the platform. It is a great platform to post your question anonymously, attracting more big audience to really address your concerns there. But the functionality of this platform also have a little bit disadvantage. It will only, pull all of the favorite question to the very top. And so I apologize ahead if your questions be really down later and we don't get a chance to address it. Definitely contact me after the session for your unique and specific questions. Okay, so who we are and who are presenting. So today we have our program director, Dr. Tamara Cohen, and our program lead, Anna Briscoe, both of them in the same room. And of course, you know me, I'm Dietetics Program Manager Xinyan. And with me, actually, in the same room is our Dietetics Program Coordinator, Skylar Parent. So before anything down to the road, I just want to highlight how we communicate with you. We have quite a few platforms to post our information. So the first one is definitely the key one you will keep your eye on, which is our website, our program website. Most of the admission information will be presented there. The second one I list here is our faculty page. The program is running under Faculty of Land and Food System. So on our faculty page, we also have a featuring part of our program. We have a full curriculum timetable or course planning listed there. So it's a really great resource. We will talk about this later in today's presentation as well. And the third one, because it is a graduate professional program, so it is running under UBC Grad Studies. So we have a bit further information that you can find on a Grad Studies website, especially the program finance part. People are interested about funding things. It is all listed there. And definitely, if you have questions, please feel free to address your concerns to this email, dietetics.admissions@ubc.ca. You will be contacted by me to answer any questions you have. Okay, so let's talk about our program overview. I'll pass the floor to Dr. Tamara Cohen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Xinyan. Great to see so many people here and interest in our Masters of Nutrition and Dietetics program here at UBC. It's a very special program in that we pride ourselves on principles of diversity and inclusion and equity. There are courses that focus specifically on social justice in nutrition, which is quite novel for dietetics here in Canada. And our goal is really to to get students and learners prepared to entry into practice as dietitians. So while you don't register with us, it is our duty as an accredited program, which we'll go over, to make sure that you are prepared to write the national exam. So we'll go to the next slide, please. So what's so unique about our program is this is a 28-month full-time professional program. So as Shinyan said, we sit under graduate and postdoctoral studies at UBC, and he'll go over some of those nuanced details that you'll need to know when applying. But we are really under the umbrella of the Human Nutrition Group here in the Land and Food Systems. Unique to us is we have integrated practice education placement. So if that's not a word that's familiar with you, they're formerly called internships, but now we talk about them being educational placements that can occur across the province. Another detail to note, that students will be required to relocate at your own expense to participate in 6-week placements across the province. Everything you will get out of our program in terms of your education and your practice education experiences will set you up to be eligible to write the national exam, at which point you will go off to the College of Dietitians of British Columbia to register upon successful completion of that exam to become a licensed dietitian. We are working through some of the ropes in the spirit of full transparency, which our program really prides ourselves on, to be accredited with Equal, which is a partner with Accreditation Canada. And no concerns for any of you here on the call that the program will be accredited. Very unique to our program and what sets us apart from our undergraduate Bachelors of Nutrition and, Food Nutrition and Health here at UBC is our research capstone project. So this is a project that is not thesis-based. Students are paired together, and it really focuses on different novel projects and original projects that will help push dietetics practice forward. So they're very much evidence-based projects that students create, and it is something that follows you through almost your 28-month time with us here at UBC. So I think I'll pass it over to Anna. Is that correct, Xinyan?
Yes, so
Great.
The next slides will be presented by our program lead, Anna Briscoe, who's going to talk about our curriculum.
Yes. Hi. So the curriculum for the program is really bringing together those foundational pieces of knowledge. So, you can see in year 1, the first term, we've got nutrition assessment, nutrition through the lifespan, your research methods, micronutrients and macronutrients, which is advances in human nutrition. So really those foundational pieces of what it means. And then, of course, professional practice. So understanding what it means to be a dietitian. So what is the nutritional building blocks in terms of nutritional sciences, and then that piece of professional practice, what does it mean to be a dietitian? And then from there, starting to really get into the nuts and bolts of the field. So looking at food theory and applications, which is a really wonderful class involving a teaching kitchen and a lot of food skills, counseling skills, and then we've got also population and public health, and then nutrition care or clinical nutrition. And so that's followed by, in the summer, you've got some wonderful experiences out in the world. So we've got 2 different placements, one in clinical nutrition and nutrition care, and one in population health, as well as working on your ethics submission for your capstone projects. Then your capstone projects will begin, as Tamara said before, just right in September. And then in year 2, we really get into those other nuanced areas of practice besides just clinical care and population health. We're looking at food provision management, business and entrepreneurship, leadership, and then again, still more building on those nutrition care courses, those clinical skills in parts 2 and 3. And then wrapping it off before we go back into practice education is looking at finishing off your capstone research projects, and then those unique courses, one in Indigenous health and dietetics, and then we also have professional practice part 2. And then from then on, you're really just finishing off those practice placements. There's 4 placements, mostly in nutrition care, and then one that is a management placement. And so that's really the scheme of the whole curriculum. They all build off each other. So there's not, it's really sequential. And yeah, that's the curriculum for the program.
Thank you so much both to Anna and Tamara for their introduction. So I read through actually everybody's registration and your interest for this info session. I think 30% of your guys are interested about this program's overview. I hope the previous pieces that address some of it. And if you have further concerns, we definitely can talk about that in the Q&A session. And most of people are definitely interested in the next part, which I'm going to talk about, is admission. So I'm gonna address a lot of details today, and it's 12:12 now. I hope I can do everything in 15 minutes to cook this entire recipe for you. Why I call this a recipe, basically putting an application together is kind of like you're cooking a dish. So here we go, admission requirement. So there are a couple components in your preparation. First thing first is the academic, definitely. For grad studies, we have 2 layers of requirement to review. As listed here, first thing is graduate studies has a minimum academic requirement. This is varied. It's based on your undergrad studies, based on your countries as well. So, for example, I know definitely for Canadian university, we're looking at 76 of your average, the 3rd or 4th year courses in total. Any degree is okay. So just put everything ahead. Our program welcomes any background student to apply. So if you are a psychology student, if you are a kinesiology student, even you're an arts-based, business-based student, you are very welcome to apply. This base door, as I mentioned, the grad studies is looking at just your higher level 3rd or 4th year courses. You need to get an average of 76 or B plus above to pass this gate. Once this been passed, the grad studies calculated the GPA to us, highlight everything for us, the case passed to our hands. And that way, we will look at the next part, which is the prerequisite. I received lots of questions about prerequisite preparation. I definitely will talk more about this now. So 5 prerequisites we're looking for: human physiology, introductory biochemistry, stats, introductory nutrition, and introductory food science. They are very minimal, essential, and critical. We are required each of them needs to be 72 or not B plus, 72 or B above. So there's a typo on the slide. Sorry about that. So it's 72 and B above. So some of the students are asking about, how the credit loads works. It is really depending on case by case. We're looking at your course completion, not really thinking about this course is weight 3 credit, that course is weight 4 credit. It varies in different institutions. Basically, your transcript needs to reflect those 5 courses and with a completion on it. And then I'm going to go through back to the core prerequisite later because there's more slides going on. I just want to move on to the next part. So once you have the academic prepared, we are looking at the other part, which is the reference and the cover letter. We call resume, cover letter and resume, or resume and statement of intent. We do post 2 templates on our website for you to use. It is pre-planned and clean pieces for you. You can put in information there. Resumes template is not mandatory, but the statement of intent is mandatory to use our templates. It will only allow you to write 250 words for the statement of intent. So kind of like a highly condensed version of your interest expressed there. So after this, you are going to fill the rest of the information in the application portal and then submit there. So that's everything for the first part of submission. And in terms of prerequisites, it comes up with more details information now. So some of the students are inquiry come to me and say, I have some course in progress. I have some courses in a condition like have a credit issues there. So we give the allowance here is that if you're applying for September 2024, you can have the food science course, which we call FNH 200, with 1 additional course in progress, and both of them need to be completed by April 2024. You can also have 1 course in credit, but A and B condition is either one. You cannot have A condition and B condition together, because we only have 5 prerequisites to really calculate and see your foundation. So we do want to have a fair assessment across the board. So A and B condition, either one of them. And student asking about Xinyan, half-com course is not really doing well. It's maybe like lower 72, it's 71, 70. Can I count that course as credit? Unfortunately, everything needs to be officially printed on your official transcript. If your official transcript reflects a percentage or letter grades there already, we take it from there. The credit or the completion needs to be also officially printed on your transcript. That applies to a lot of the time people that during the pandemic period, the 2020 January to April, that term, a lot of institutions have a great gesture, allow students to change their final grades to credit or completion. So that applies to that period of time. So that's the prerequisite condition. While some of you are in preparation on the way to completing it, that's the deadline. And we also have a lot of students applying not taking your undergrad or things that in a food nutrition background. You may have some background in other institutions in Canada, or even you are joining us today internationally. So you definitely will have a challenge time to see whether my course will be equivalent to your prerequisite. So we have a lot of questions coming from there. There's like a logic sequence coming through here. So we are asking you that is your course that been presented on our UBC transfer guide or BC transfer guide. If it is presented there, definitely will come from there. And we also have approved prerequisite course list, which we have a matrix made up with our UBC course listed on top and other institutions from BC to the Atlantic Province institutions there. We listed most of the resources we have there. If your course is listed in that matrix, it is also acceptable. And the major last part we have is international student. It is a little bit challenge for us to really give an advice on like which course you take from institution. So we do have on the screen right hand side, there's a prerequisite checklist you can download. It lists out all of the course content in it. So it helps you to self-evaluate and see like, oh, I have this course, I complete this course. So did all of the course content match with the list that we list here? If it is, then definitely you can claim that course as equivalent to the prerequisite we require. For further document we need, definitely you need to submit this checklist along with the course syllabi or course syllabus, and combine everything into a PDF document to the self-report form. Now comes to the second part of the application. I mentioned you have the one portal, and then you have another thing is called self-report form. You need to fill out. Every applicants need to do it. It helps us to understand like how you declare your prerequisite basically. Okay. So this comes up a timeline about how things going on. You are now in the stage of get everything prepared and submit your application. So from now to November 2023, November the 15th is the deadline to submit your application. And after you submit your application, the system will trigger reference letters requested to the referee that you put in, and they have 2 extension weeks to really submit your reference pieces there. So we start review everything from November to January next year, and then we will shortlist people and then launch the interview in February, and have an initial decision in March and start to offer seats to the students. So that's how the timeline goes. And there are some links on the slides later on. I will post on the website as well. You can take a look, definitely see how to apply step by step. I speak very fast, and then there's more details that have been listed on the website as well. So how our application will be assessed. So as I just mentioned, that you have your basic GPA, which is calculated based on your degree. You may complete it somewhere or in UBC. It can be any degree, as I mentioned. It will be calculated based on that. And then as long as you pass the minimum requirement, it is a tick off. And then we will consider the prerequisite courses on our end. The prerequisite courses will be averaged, and then it will count 30% to the total assessment. The resume, statement of intent, and the reference letter will be calculated for 40% of the total assessment. And they will be assessed based on program, vision, mission, values, as well as the required skills and abilities for the program. That's why Dr. Tamaricon was addressing like what's the program's values, what our overview is, and it helps you to think about why you want to apply for this program. And then references are reviewed related to the personal attitudes, suitability for the program as well. Once we assess and shortlist people, and then we will conduct the interview, right? And the interview will assess applicants based on those criteria again, and see how people present orally in front of us, and we have some questions there, and how you address those questions on spot to us at that moment. So that's how the application goes. Some of the things, this is just quick slides, just a quick note here as well. We have the grad programs running now, and we have another line, which is the BSFN in dietetics major, which is an undergrad degree. So both programs are running under our program structure, and the grad side is on the left side of the screen. You can see how the application goes on. And then the other side is the undergrad, which is a bit later of the deadline, and then it comes up with also a later timeline for the assessment and for the interview as well. The major difference is that for the graduate programs, we do have faculty members and also other people like teachers and lecturers here to evaluate your application. Okay. So the 10% of people also in your registration sheet asking about fundings and the finance pieces. Tamara also mentioned about the practice education will cost you on your own. So I do want to highlight about program tuition, other fees, and some cost of living things. You can find this table on the Grad Studies website. So just keep in mind of the total tuition fee for either domestic student or international student. And they have a tool on the Grad Studies website and to help you calculate the cost of living. It is not easy time, and across Canada, we know that inflation is very high. I guess across the world is the same thing. So do keep in mind that you will have a good preparation for your placement, for your living, for your learning here for the 28-month program. For some support resource we have a limited program award. It is really not a lot of funding. It's just a gesture, and it's kind of like award, a very small amount to help 1 or 2 students. Once you are in our faculty, definitely there are potential teaching and research assistantship here. Across UBC, there's also a work loan program to support any student learning here. It is kind of like how programs like student work 5 to 10 hours per week to earn a little bit income. We also have student work part-time off campus. And some of students get their resource from the student loan. Okay, so I think I go through everything within about 15 minutes, and we have the time to take your question now. So I'm gonna exit the slides, and then let's switch. I hope everyone can see the Q&A. Okay, so as I mentioned, you can like other audience questions, so it will be popped to the top of the screen, and then we can address it. And if your question is not being posted at the very top, and it's been missed in the session for the next 30 minutes, you are very welcome to email me for your personal questions there. Okay, I'll start the first one. Could you describe someone who was accepted in the program and what made them a strong applicant, and someone who was rejected and 2 reasons why? Well, that's a really great question. I love this question. So every student we accept to the program has a very unique side of them, and they are definitely well-rounded students. They are strong in academic. They perform very well in the academic, in the statement of writing, CV experience-wise, and also in the interview stage as well. So that's kind of like a top tier you can imagine. There are other students that have been ranked down a little bit, but they have different aspects. As I do recall and recap the last 2 years of admission, we have some students are strong in academic, but maybe just graduate from the undergrad and not working too many years. So their experience was maybe a little bit low, but their academic strong helped them to get in the program. And others on the other side, vice versa, we have definitely applicants who are really strong in the experience-wise and give us very great answers in the interview to win the seats in the end. Some of the reason that we decline students. So we kind of like quantify everything in the admission competition. So generally, if we decline student, definitely there are some of the score low in the application assessment. So if, like I said, some of the student may be not very strong in the interview stage, and then they're not answering very well in the interview, and then they've been declined eventually, or all of the items add together, they are not being strong enough to the program, so they've been declined as well. And also, it is, if you recall the last 2 slides, I did mention we only can offer 10 to 12 seats. Some of the students are asking about our rates of admission. It's almost like 20%, sometimes even lower than 20% of the total applicants can be accepted. So it is a very strong and competitive program. I always say to our declined students, and I'm very, very sorry because we can only host those seats. So it's not because we are not strong enough, it's just because that we only can offer very limited resource here to help everybody's success. Okay, so that's the first question. Anyone want to add on, Tamara or Anna?
You can add a little bit. Yes, it's a really good question. I think one of the pieces that kind of ties into what Shinyan is saying is having a strong sense of who you are and what brings you to this program and why you're interested is really important, to have a clear sense of what your goals are, what is drawing you to this field and to this program. Really helps you stand out, and like to really have thought and reflected on that yourself. That can really be very important. And I think one of the reasons why some students, it's being really vague or just not being clear about what you're interested in or why you're interested in it would be definitely a piece around student applicants who didn't get selected for the final cohort. Would be really that sort of clarity of purpose and understanding the field in general. Yeah.
I just want to add that when we look at the applications, which I can give lots of assurance to the group that it's an incredibly thorough and thoughtful process, we really sit with every one of the applications for a very long time and really try to get a sense to know you. And it's a combination, as Shinyan said, of that interview and the written. But from an educational standpoint, our goal here, the team's goal, is to see you blossom and thrive in the MND program. We are accepting you to be part of a member of our MND group, and then by proxy, you will come out hopefully and be great dietitians. So we are interviewing you to be successful in the program.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tamara and Anna, for the additional part, like how we assess that. Okay, so I'm gonna take this off. Number question: how many students will be accepted for the September 2024 entrance? As I just also put on the slides, I think it's 12 to 14 students as continue a number as we want. Okay. Next question. MND program is neither PDAP accredited or by Accreditation Canada yet. Then what's the security and why should we pursue it at UBC? UBC is still my dream. Thank you for that. For the accreditation questions, maybe Anna, would you like to address this?
Or I can.
Tamara.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I'm going to take over.
Yeah.
So Anna and I saw this pop up, and we just want to make it clear that all Canadian universities and all programs across Canada are actually not PDAP accredited, and UBC is actually onboarded with the Accreditation Canada. So that's just a little bit of fact checking there. There's no concerns. We are going to go, and we are on the board, on the route to becoming accredited, but this is a national issue, and we'll just leave it at that. So all programs are in the same boat, but UBC is actually leading the pack in many ways to secure the accreditation.
Thank you.
Anything to add, Anna?
I think just the piece that because the MND program is a new program and because PDAP is no longer accrediting programs, we're in this sort of, the timing is such that we're just in this process as fast as we can be in the process. And so we're working at the speed of the relationships, and we're in the process, and by next year we should be accredited and carry on. But it's just things take time, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. That's the reality. Should applicants without any dietetics research volunteer experience apply this year, or wait until next year to apply when they have gained experience? That is a good question. So it depends on your own, like we will bounce back the question to yourself. Do you think you're ready for the program? Again, when the student approached to me, I always ask, do you feel like you're ready for the program? And if you go through the website, go through our required skills pieces, you should like contemplate and sit there and think about what kind of the strengths I have. You mentioned like research or volunteer experience. It's going down, sorry. And I believe in your own growing journey, and there's also other pieces come to you. So you definitely have something else, and will that skill and competency that we are looking for. So think about that and put it into your application. This is also a suggestion for everybody else on the call, like how you prepare yourself, because some of students may have the research skills, some people may have a lot of working experience, some people have volunteer or like leadership roles taking over somewhere. So it is really who you are and how you put down your experience on the sheet, the 2-page CV, and in the statement of intent. Okay, so that question's gone. I probably will take that off later. After program and exam, can I be a dietitian anywhere in Canada or just BC? So it will be a question that I think better Tamara or Anna to answer, because it's related to the CDRE.
Yeah. So yes, you can be a dietitian anywhere in Canada because the competencies in that national exam, it's national, and you would just register with a different college. So you wouldn't register with the College of Dietitians in BC, you'd register with the college, but we do have a BC focus because that we are the only program in BC, and so your placements will all be in BC, and that really is the focus, but technically the degree, not the degree, but the registered dietitian is portable across the provinces in BC, or in Canada, sorry.
Thank you. Okay, next question. I see this question. I'm going to take it out. If I have taken more than one course for one prerequisite, do you take the high grades or an average of the two courses? Yeah. So for one subject, if you like have a repeat attempt, like for biochemistry, we will take the higher grades, not taking the average. I'll repeat again. We will take the higher grades. Okay. Next one. In the prerequisite checklist document, should I list each of the course syllabi right after the required course, or should I group them at the end? Thank you. Great question. And it's for administratively questioning me. I really appreciate if you can, list out all of the, you take off the course. Let's say the first one we list there is human physiology. You take every box off and then insert your syllabus in the middle. So I can compare, okay, so this is what the students say, I complete A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then this is listed in their course syllabus. So I don't need to flip a page. And then I will really appreciate that. This won't count into a total score. We won't say that the student make a horrible document. We're not going to review it. Everything you submit, we will take a deep look into it. It will just allow me to do some detective work. So I really appreciate if you can organize it in a right order so I can find the information right away for you. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so next question. How should I know whether I should pursue dietetics as an undergrad or as a master? How different are the two programs in terms of the content covered? It is a great question. So first of all, I approach this question with more like admission perspective, and I think later on maybe Anna and Tamara can add on more like a content base. So for admission wise, for undergrad, you will need like a longer prerequisite list. We require 27 designated courses, 27 credits of designated courses to be completed. So it's a longer prerequisite list. And then plus that, the baseline for entering to the third year program requirement is you will need to achieve 54 university course credits. So 27 including in that 54. So basically you need 2 years undergrad, and the 2 years course planning need to help you finish the 27 credits courses we require. Definitely it's a longer process. For the master one, we only look at 5 prerequisites. However, in some students' preparation, it may have no difference if it didn't have any like science background, because biochemistry is like all other courses may well need you to take prerequisites. So when you build up the entire pathway, it may take also longer time. So for a student who do everything from scratch, maybe both programs works because it takes that time for you to do the preparation. But if you do have a science background, the master one do have a shorter list. So that's before you enter the program. Then after you enter the program, the undergrad program is a bit longer. It's 3 years. And the master program is 28 months. So we are more condensed in MND. And we highlight some pieces in the presentation, like for the master program, we have a research capstone project. We have the indigenous health courses there. We have a leadership entrepreneurship course there as well, which the undergrad student will not have. So that's the curriculum differences there. Anything Anna or Tamara would I like to add on?
Yeah, I would just say like the similarities are that they all meet the competencies for entry to practice in dietetics. The differences is that some of the learning and the expectations and the projects and the courses are unique to the MND course. For example, research methods is with the graduate studies. So it's a different kind of expectation than I know someone mentioned like if they're equivalent, but they're not equivalent. So only courses that are shared between, and even in those courses, there's actually different learning or different assignments, depending if you're an MND student or undergraduate student, but the shared courses are really the nutrition care courses and the professional practice courses. And so with some other shared overlap, I think in counseling as well. So more the core content is similar because it's the same profession, but the actual substance of the course is quite different in that, like I teach the population health course, for example, in the MND program. It's a small cohort. It's very discussion based. You're very much more engaged in different kinds of learning activities and a lot more, I guess, higher level thinking and planning. And so just different kinds of learning experiences and different courses, but some overlap in terms of the nutrition care courses and professional practice courses. So, yeah.
Thank you, Anna. I saw 2 questions regarding the GPA together on the screen. I think it's better to explain this again. I think I spoke a bit faster in the beginning. Sorry about that. So how we really calculate GPA, I said there's 2 tiers or 2 steps of calculation. The first one is what grad studies require. And this step of calculation is not on our program hand. It is undergraduate studies office. Before we receive your application, they already calculate these pieces. And what they calculate is the base of your degree. So any student applied to a grad program needs an undergrad degree, right? So they will calculate your undergrad degree's GPA. So how they calculate that part, there's a link I posted earlier. So Grad Studies has a method to assess this part. It depends on the institution, depends on the country. So for Canadian institution, if you grad degree from UBC, UVic, or maybe U of T, or any other institution across Canada, we look at the third and the fourth year higher level courses. So that's just Canadian institution. For US, for other institution will be different. So that's step one. They calculate that, they send it to us. And what's the requirement for that is 76 or B plus above. You need to pass that gate. Okay, so that's step one. Come to us, then we look at your 5 prerequisites. The 5 prerequisites are listed earlier, and we will do a GPA calculation, like average those 5 prerequisites, and convert into 30% of the total assessment scale. So that's step 2 on our hands. And along with the 30% of academic, we add on the other part, like the statement of intent, your resume, your reference. So that's how GPA has been calculated. I hope that addressed it. Okay, I'm going to take off those 2 questions. For the placement opportunities, will we have a chance to work in a high-performance sport environment, or is it mainly focused on the public populations? I'll pass this question to Anna. How about that?
Hi, I can speak to both the questions about the placements. Okay. And so they're really a mix of placements, mostly focused on working within the public healthcare system, because that is the healthcare system we have in BC, and I think it's important to support public healthcare systems. So working within acute care, outpatient, and also in residential care, so long-term care, seniors care, or other kinds of residential care. So there's lots of different options, but most of them are working in general populations. There is options perhaps to work with some specialized environments, but it's more rare. Let's just say that. And within that, there's a lot of diversity, of course, because there's, general medical wards, and there's ICU, and there's, various different things. So there are some placements outside of health facilities. For example, in the second question there, is looking particularly at the management and leadership, as well as population health. And so, for example, this summer we had students in population health placements, and a few of them were specifically within healthcare population health, but some were with non-for-profits, some were within education. So there's lots of different opportunities there to get outside just health facilities, but there's both. So for the nutrition care, mostly general populations within healthcare, publicly funded healthcare, but for the management and for population health, there's different options. It's sort of, we build these relationships throughout the province, and that's where the students go. So they're not preset, they're based on working with our relationships with all the different health authorities and also other organizations.
Thank you so much, Anna. I kind of help the practice education planning as well, but I think Anna addressed better than me about this. Okay, so next student is asking, I'm an international student and I have only the stats course completed in my undergrad. Is there a way to take the prerequisite while doing the course? Unfortunately, we do request all of the applicants to complete your prerequisites, because that's a part of the assessment in the application. And the condition is you can have the food science course plus 1 additional course in pounding. So when I really list the students' grades in the spreadsheets, there's maybe just 2 boxes or 2 cells pending there. The rest are been fulfilled when you submit your application. So we cannot admit a student and then you take the course along taking the program. And you see the program timetable on course planning, it's pretty condensed. So we don't see students have extra time to really take extra courses at that moment. Okay. Is there any benefit to an individual who has an undergrad degree in dietetics from within Canada to attend the master's programs at UBC? I'm not too sure.
I can answer this one.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm jumping in.
Thank you.
So in short, no, that you would want to you would want to apply to a thesis-based program, or there are other programs in Canada that offer applied human nutrition programs, and those are that are more course-based. So in short, no, you would be getting the same degree as an undergraduate dietetics program.
Be a non-integrated program.
If it's specific to a non-integrated program, and that would mean that you don't have the opportunity to do practice education placements, then yes, you could definitely apply to the MND program. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read that too. But anyway.
I can go on to the capstone project question if that's okay, Shinyan.
Go
I'm
ahead.
hijacking your mic. So the question is, kindly explain more about the capstone program. Is there any experience level for application to be considered? In short, no. My one request, I suppose, for students on this, as I oversee this portion of the program, is just having a genuine curiosity about research, having an open mind about exploring current topics within dietetic practice, so dietetics being the applied portion of nutritional science, and wanting to learn new things and to take risk on learning new things that might really scare you. So teaching right now the research methods course, lots of the Masters of Nutrition and Dietetics students have never had any experience in research. So that's the only prerequisite you need, is just a wanting to learn and a genuine curiosity and a drive to push our health professional program and profession in general forward. That's it.
Thank you.
Next question off to you, Xinyan.
Okay, back to the GPA again. So how the two GPA has been really considered in the program, I may miss that part, or emphasize again. So the grad studies way of the calculation that all of the degree GPA need to pass 76 or B plus above, that's just a meet. So you need to achieve that. We're not really taking that into a full consideration, because some of the students' degree is arts, philosophy, or business, and it's not really related to science. And then if we compare the science degrees GPA to the business, which is not that makes sense in the assessment. So we look at the prerequisite, the 5 prerequisites, and then calculate them along with the other part of the component. This one is good. Are you at a disadvantage or looked at it differently if you did not do undergrad in nutrition? So which is echoing what I just said earlier. We have applicants applying from business background, from psychology, from sports, kinesiology. So this is not a part we are looking at. And as you see our assessment, it's just looking at your prerequisite. There's not really like a disadvantage looking at where your background is. It is more how you present in the prerequisite, the CV statement pieces, and then for your shortlist, the interview. So back to question.
Shinyan,
yeah, go ahead.
I would just like to add to that truly the vision of the program is diversifying the profession. And Anna just shared with me that current students right now, only 50% have a background in nutritional science. So I cannot stress enough, and I hope you can feel my enthusiasm, our enthusiasm through the Zoom, that if you just have a curiosity and a wanting to explore and become a registered dietitian here in Canada, we welcome you into the program. It does not matter what background you have. You leave that to us. That is our job, to set you up for success. Again, I'll reiterate this. You're admitted into the program because we see that you can blossom, and the supports are here to help you blossom. So it does not matter what your background is. If you're okay, Shinyan, I'm going to hijack it again and address the second question about the accreditation. So the question reads, since the program is not yet accredited, are the UBC MND graduates eligible to write the CDRE, which is our Canadian Dietetics Registration Exam here in Canada? And the answer is yes, you do not need to worry. By the time that you are welcome into the program, we will be accredited. Again, we have onboarded, we're all well onto route. The current students are right now going to be eligible to write the exam. So there should be no concerns. That is the message we are sending you through the Zoom waves. UBC is well onto track to being accredited with Accreditation Canada.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question is asking about course wave pieces for those who have completed undergrad equivalent courses. Can we opt out any courses here? The answer is no. All of the courses that we require in this program are mandatory and it's under your program requirements. So you need to complete it under the course structure. The next one is, do I need a supervisor to apply this program? The answer is no as well. So it will be, it is a professional graduate program, so you do not need to seek a supervisor while you're applying. When will we get the access to the recording? I bet this is for the Zoom. After the call, I will upload everything to our website, and you probably will access this tomorrow. Do I need all of the prerequisite course to be completed before applying to the program? I think I answered this earlier. Yes, the deadline for everything to be completed is April 2024 for this year's admission. And I want to be in the meeting, you in person. Sure, please shoot me an email to book an advising time, and I can meet you in person or Zoom to answer and address your personal questions. Okay. If an applicant has a low GPA but a high number of experience or reference, do they have a chance to get into accepted? Yes. So as I just mentioned, that we looked like holistically how applicants apply. So it's not just your GPA; it's also like your experience-wise as well. And previously, we do have successful candidates that been invited into the final or more strong in their experience. So please guide me if my country have biochemist and physio exam under the same course and same exam, but the whole content overlap with you. Sorry, this question is a bit unclear to me, and I believe it is very specific to one applicant. So I encourage you to provide me more content if you would like to do this via an email. I'm not quite sure of this part, so if you can answer or address in an email, that would be great. Oh, okay, so the next one. I'm a registered dietitian in BC, but looking to get more experience and practice in different areas besides to getting a master. Could this be a good fit for me? So this program is designed for a student to be a dietitian. So if you are already a registered dietitian, I would recommend you to reach out to our graduate office and think about maybe a research-based program like Master of Science in Human Nutrition, maybe a better fit for you.
There are lots of other, if you want more of a course-based master's, there are other programs also in different fields related to health leadership or education or population health, whatever kind of floats. There's many other options. If you already are a dietitian, this program is to become a dietitian. So
yeah.
Great question.
Great question. Thank you, Anna. And I guess this is also answer this one that is the MND program for those just wanting to be RD or is for current RDs to pursue higher education. So it is the first one that it's designed to help students get the license to be a registered dietitian here. Does the MND grad program reserve admission seats for Indigenous applicants? So this question we don't have any reservation seats for international.
Yes, we do. Sorry, we do.
Oh, sorry.
We do have reserved seats for Indigenous applicants. The process is you'll self-identify and then you're funneled to adequate supports and so forth. But there are reserved seats for the MND graduate program, as there are for the undergraduate program.
Yeah, there's what I want to say is there's an Indigenous graduate officer that sits in the grad studies. So if you are self-identified as an Indigenous applicant, first step is you will better to reach out to Rebecca Jewels, and then I can provide more information if you email me, and then we can work from there. Okay, it's 12:56, so I probably can take one or two questions. So is it possible to have two work references? I haven't been in school for a long time. Yes, so we require one academic, one professional, and the third one is either way. So you definitely can have two professional reference. Can I continue my study in PhD degree after graduation from MND program? Yes, it's an option for you if you're interested, but I think the different PhD programs have different requirements as well. It will be better to take a look at what PhD's admission requirement and think about how you prepare that while you're doing this program. But for MND mainly, we are helping students to get the registered dietitian degree. Sorry, the license.
I just want to add to that, Shinyan,
Yeah,
if that's
yeah.
okay. The really the unique thing again about the MMD program is it actually, in my opinion, sets you up to do doctoral work if that was your choice. The reason being you will be acquiring the necessary skills in basics of fundamentals of research methods, which is essentially what a PhD degree is. So if that is your career path, that would be a conversation that you'd have with the team here. And we would make sure that, like, for instance, the capstone research project would be guided maybe more selectively for you, but there's no reason why you have to just stop at an MMD degree.
Thank you. Since both the bachelor's and the graduate program are parallel programs, can I apply to both streams for admission 2024? Yes. So there are separate processes. So you are encouraged to review the both requirement, and if you feel you're eligible for both, you are encouraged to apply. I'm not sure about the next one. Maybe probably.
The SEND is the American accreditation system. So no, we are not accredited with an American system because we are in Canada. And so, yeah, that's no.
I just want to state that for folks out there who are thinking about international practice, is the UBC program, again, on board to being accredited with Accreditation Canada, will have the requirements that in theory would be equivalent to other programs across Canada, across internationally. But again, specifically for the states, is it would be a matter of you looking at specifics to the state that you want to practice in, and you would have to go through the ropes with that particular regulatory body. So every state in the United States has their own nuances. But again, that's actually out of our jurisdiction, so we won't be able to guide you on that other than what I've just stated.
Thank you so much. I think we're probably gonna approach to the end of our session, so I will switch my screen to the last slides here. Okay. So again, I apologize that the rest of the questions may not be able to address at this moment. So at the very final time, I would just want to say a big thank you to all of the participants and your interest to our program. And if you have more questions, and I saw some of the chat questions there, I saw some of the questions in the chat. I'm sorry this part has been missed as well. You are very welcome to shoot an email to me, dietetics.admissions@ubc.ca. For the further inquiry or book appointment with me to talk more about your interest. Thank you again for everybody's attending today, and have a lovely day.